He is now entering his 11th year in the NFL out of the U. He's Greg Olsen of the Carolina Panthers. How you doing, Greg?
Doing well, Rich. Always good to be on, man.
Okay, so now I got to start with this first. We had Khalil on the day of the video of Cam Newton's birthday being mocked and sent up by you guys on your fishing and camping trip, and it looked like you were playing the role of Cam. Greg, is that true? You were playing the role of Cam in this video.
I was. Somehow I got talked into playing the Cam role as the rapper and the dancer. And if you saw both videos, I don't know if I quite did as well as he did. His looked a little cooler than mine.
Well, I mean, your hand gestures looked a little bit more awkward. Let's put it that way.
That's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Now, were you channeling your inner Cameron? I mean, how did you play this role? How did you approach the role, Greg?
Yeah, I guess he was my inspiration. I mean, let's be honest. When we all saw his original video, we were all jealous. I know a lot of the guys on the team wherever he was looked pretty incredible. And then there we found ourselves in the middle of the North Carolina mountains camping. It wasn't quite as glamorous, so we made our campfire into our rap video set and turned on some headlights of some pickup trucks, and we did the best that we hadn't showered in 2 days, and that was the result.
How did Cam take it, Greg?
He took it great. He thought it was awesome. I think he appreciated how much time and energy Khalil and the rest of us took trying to accurately recreate his video. I mean, when you see the two of them side by side, it's incredible how Khalil was able to replicate the different scenes, and that wasn't by accident. That took a lot of effort and attention to detail, but he's a good sport. The guys had a good time with it. You know, they say imitation's the biggest form of flattery, so we were jealous of his video, so we had to make our own.
Well, I got to be honest with you. I mean, in all seriousness, the fact that you guys did it, and Khalil told us how it got revealed in a Ron Rivera PowerPoint in front of the whole crew, I think does speak volumes of the fact that if you thought Cam wouldn't be into it or he didn't have a sense of humor, you might not have attempted it in the first place. Am I correct in saying that, Greg?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we never would have done it if we thought we were going to offend him or if he was going to take it the right way. But, you know, knowing Cam as long as we had and just knowing his personality and his willingness to go along with the fun and be a part of it like everybody else, you know, makes doing those things a little bit easier. You know, you're not quite as hesitant, and he took it. I mean, the way Ron set it up, he kind of came hard at everybody about, you know, making sure we pay attention to what's put on social media, and he kind of came off a little aggressive. I think some of the guys in the room were kind of looking around like, "Ooh, is he talking to me? Like, what happened? I hope he tells us what happens." And then he kind of yells at the guys, "Turn the video on, turn it on. This is what I'm talking about." And I think after the first 2 seconds, people kind of got the idea that it was a setup, and the video played from there.
Greg Olsen from the Panthers joining me here on the Rich Eisen Show. What do you guys talk about in June? You talking about winning championships? What is the topic of discussion as you're getting ready for the final mini camp before training camp, Greg?
Yeah, no, I think the off season is really kind of just like layers, right? The first phase kind of preps you for phase 2 with the coaches and being on the field, and then, you know, phase 2 then gets you ready for a little more formal, you know, OTAs, more, you know, helmets on, actual more football-based practice against one another in a competitive environment. And then, you know, from there, phase 3 kind of closes down, and then we say, all right, we got 3 days of minicamp. Let's really dial in here. This is our last kind of dress rehearsal before we show up to Spartanburg for training camp. You know, let's win these 3 days. Let's have the best minicamp that the Panthers can have. And, you know, knowing that after these 3 days, you know, we're going to all go our separate ways. Guys are going to kind of spread back out, do their own thing for a while, and then the next thing we come back, we're right on the doorstep of the season, and we're going to be going full go down in Spartanburg at camp. So it kind of just progresses as the off season goes on and kind of layers on top of itself. And, you know, we're 3 days away from a little bit of a break, and we got to have our best 3-day mini camp that we can for this time of year.
Well, Greg, looking back now that you have a few months removed, what did happen to your conference title defense season to make it go so awry?
Yeah, I think that's kind of the $1 million question. I think it was something that we wrestled with the entire season. I think week by week. We thought maybe we refound our magic and kind of refound our formula there for success. And then, we'd have a letdown the next week and then struggle to find it again, for a handful. So, to go from 17 to 6 wins, you don't have to be a rocket scientist to know that was a huge letdown for all involved. And, I don't think we did a very good job bouncing back, as players and collectively as a team from the success we had the prior year. And, it's going to be kind of the same type of response this year, but just the opposite. How quick are we going to be able to put that bad taste behind us and get ready to prepare for a new season? And that's the way the NFL works. And hopefully we do a better job at answering the bell after the disappointment of last year, rather than how we did it the year before.
How's Christian McCaffrey going to change things, you think, in that offense?
I think he's dynamic. I mean, he's a kid that we all watched a ton. His years in college were as dynamic and as talented as anybody in the college game. I think in the way the NFL is moving, the more guys you can get involved that bring that dynamic ability as ball carriers, as receivers, out of the backfield, that we've kind of gone away as a league from, everyone just plays one position. You see so many guys that have to be versatile. And, for a guy like him to come in and play tailback, be able to play slot, be able to come out of the backfield, be able to kind of go empty and have, in essence, another slot receiver who you could also hand the ball to. It just, there's not a lot of those kind of guys. And I think that's why we felt so high on him to take him at number 8. And we're anxious. He'll join us for the first time this week at minicamp tomorrow. So we're looking forward to having him on board.
Greg Olsen joining me here on the Rich Eisen Show. In the video, Luke Kuechly was on that camping trip with you. Last time I saw him, I was on that Thursday night game where it was freaking me out, where he started crying as he was getting carted off. And, I'm just wondering about his health and his readiness to continue being as good as he has been. What can you tell me about Kuechly's health, Greg?
I'll tell you, judging, this is as impressive an off season of, we work out a lot together through the off seasons, the last few years. And this is as physically ready and as good a shape and as much physically prepared as he's been in the years that I've known him. And of course, we all kind of shared those same thoughts that you had last year, Rich, watching him get carted off that game against New Orleans. Is a scary sight for any player, let alone, one of your leaders and kind of, fixtures on the team. And, it's the unfortunate reality of the sport that we all play. But, if just seeing Luke and being in great spirits and working as hard as he has and not missing a beat with workouts and training, I think he's in a mentally good place where he's just kind of moved on from that. He's not playing with any hesitation and concern, and he's just going to go out and play the way he always has. And I think to a degree, we all just hope for the best for not only him, but for everybody.
What are you doing with fanchest.com in time for Father's Day? What do you got going on right here?
Yeah, it's pretty cool. So obviously a lot of our fathers and men in our life are huge sports fans. So if you go to fanchest.com, use my discount code Greg for 10% off. Regardless of the team that they're fans of, you can put together a custom box of all sorts of pretty cool giveaway and merchandise stuff for that special sports fan in your life, and send it right to their house, open the box, and just full of stuff with their favorite teams. And I know I've bought them for my dad, and I've had them bought by me, and they're really interesting and a pretty cool thing. So in the world of today, people ordering offline and wanting things just sent right to your doorstep, it's for sports fans, it's about as good as it gets.
Yeah, it involves over 80 officially licensed top brands, and you can use the code Greg for 10% off any chest by going to fanchest.com for more information. How did Cam take the news about relaxing celebration rules?
Oh man, I can only imagine what he's got in store. His celebrations were always, must-watch TV to begin with. So I'm anxious to see how far it gets pushed, not only by him but just throughout the league. I'm not typically a big celebrator. It's not really my cup of tea, but I think we're in for some entertainment. That's for sure.
Now, are you aware they talking to the team about the fact that they're going to start a play clock about at 40 seconds the minute that a ref signifies a touchdown, and if there is no review, you best get your extra point unit out there. Otherwise, you might be expending a timeout to keep it from being a 38-yard extra point attempt.
Wow, that's the first I've heard that.
That's coming, Greg.
You're delivering breaking news to NFL players today, Rich. That's the first that I've heard that.
This is true.
Is that their way of making these not super long choreographed celebrations? Is it directly tied to that?
Well, I don't know if it's directly tied, because this was something that was announced as part of the commissioner's move to try and move the game along.
Gotcha.
Part of that is to take fewer commercial breaks. So instead, when let's say you score a touchdown, commercial break, then kickoff, commercial break, there's going to be fewer commercial breaks in the game, and also just get this thing moving. And then came the celebration rule announcement. I don't know if there's any connection.
So maybe they're unrelated. Interesting. No, but I'm all about that. That's a good implementation. I'll tell you, there's times where, just like you said, the opposing team scores, you hop off the bench, you go down, you go down to where the ensuing kickoff will be. They kick an extra point. Then, all right, you're getting warmed up. You're kind of running around, getting ready. Then they do a TV timeout. Come back, do a 20-second kickoff that you're not on. So you're still standing there on the sidelines, touchback most of the time.
Yep.
You sprint out to the huddle only for the ref to come back out and call another TV timeout. They scored and 7-8 minutes have passed and you haven't done a thing. It feels like 30 minutes when you're on the field. So I'm glad they're making those changes.
They are making those changes. Before I let you go, I mean, again, like I said, I started this interview by talking about your on-air excellence. I mean, you're terrific at it, Greg, and so clearly you know what it takes to be good at it. Do you think Cutler's got the chops now that he's going in the booth? What do you think about Jay Cutler, the announcer, Greg Olsen?
I do. I'll tell you, I think people are going to be pleasantly surprised. I think Jay is much more charismatic, is much more charming and informative than people may want to give him credit for. And whether that was by his choice of the way he kind of felt was his role as a player and the way he dealt with the media was kind of, his particular way. But I think now that he's kind of removed from the game, has that all kind of out of the way, I think people that tune into the games that he's broadcasting are going to find a guy that is immensely talented and informative as far as the game of football. I think he's charming. I think he has a good sense of humor. I really think people are going to be pleasantly surprised. I think Jay is going to be the surprise, kind of new burst on the scene commentator in the ex-player kind of category. So I really think he's going to do well, especially initially.
Well, I'm always a guy I've been rooting for him for years. There's just always something where I just wanted to like him, and maybe that's what you're talking about. But I'm concerned that Kevin Burkhardt's going to be calling a touchdown and then say, Jay, what do you think? And he'll go, And that's it. So that won't happen?
No, I think he's going to be good. I'll tell you what, he's obviously Burkhardt is as good as he gets. Burkhardt and I go way back. He actually started his broadcasting chops doing some of my high school football games in North Jersey. So I've known Kevin for a long time, and he's obviously very good at what he does. So I think for Jay to be in a booth with him and Charles Davis, two guys that have done it a long time, I think is going to play into Jay's favor for sure.
Greg, enjoy Father's Day, and we'll send everybody to fanchest.com. Drop Greg for 10% off any chest for some good stuff for Dad. Thanks for joining.
All right, thanks, Rich. Always a pleasure.
You bet. Right back at you. Greg Olsen, the Carolina Panthers.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern on radio stations across the country and audience.
If you like that, please download our app. There's lots of fun things there other than just more of the videos you just saw. You can call us from the app. You can email us from the app. Just download it. Trust me, you'll enjoy it.